So many of you already know, but lots of people don't know yet, that this book, More Than Two, Eve's version, second edition, co-authored with Andrea Zenin, has been out now for a little over a year. And I am going to talk about 7 ways that this book is different from this book, More Than Two, the first edition, which came out 11 years ago and has now been out of print for 2 years. So first thing, it has been fully rewritten. It has had a total overhaul of the content. Most second editions, when people hear second edition, they think, oh, there's been a little bit of editing. I've heard people say, oh, they must have just filed off the bad parts. That's not what happened. This was a deep, deep dive. Every part of this book has been touched and revised. 2, there is significant new content. There is a brand new chapter on abuse that also happens to be the longest chapter in the book. I at one point suggested that it could be a standalone book on its own, but we decided that it belonged in this book. As well as there are whole chapters that we essentially scrapped and rewrote from scratch. So the chapters on jealousy, on sex, on monopoly relationships, for example, are some of the ones that you will see most significantly changed. 3rd, there are no personal stories in this book. So the first edition relied heavily on personal anecdotes, both from the authors and from people we knew. And for this version, Andrea and I decided that we were not going to take that approach. And it originally started as a matter of selecting which stories to keep and whether to add new stories. And then after looking at it, we realized that not a lot was lost, actually, by removing those. And I have had the experience of having my life be very, very public for a long time, and I feel kind of done with that and ready for my private life to be private. So yeah, there are, I mean, of course, all of this is drawn from experience, but those stories have been removed. Funny enough, though, after taking those out, we did add back enough content that this book is longer than the first edition. There is a new co-author, Andrea Zenin. Those of you who know Andrea's name may know them because they are the person who coined the term polynormativity back in 2011 or 2012 with their essay, The Problem with Polynormativity, which went viral at the time. They are known for their writing on non-monogamy, sex, kink. They've written for a number of major outlets. And they have been working with my company as an editor for many years now, and so this was a natural collaboration for us. And they brought a really important lens to this book with their background in a totally different exposure to queer relationships than I had, with their experience in BDSM, with their background in gender studies. All of that was, and their incredibly wide range of reading and knowledge that they've done and knowledge that they have added a lot of depth to this and the collaboration as well. I'll talk more about that in another video. There is a new foreword by Kim Tallbear. And Kim Tallbear is a professor and Canada Research Chair in Indigenous Peoples, Technoscience and Society at the Faculty of Native Studies at the University of Alberta. But she is probably better known among non-monogamous folks as the author of the Critical Polyamorist blog, where she has written a lot about decolonial sexuality and relationship structures. And relationship approaches. And related to that, this book is much, much more political than the first edition was. We are very explicit about our politics. We are very explicit about the ways that we see non-monogamy as political, as connected to politics. And we come back a lot to the ways that the values in the culture around us shape our approaches to relationships. In some of our reviews, when people have had complaints, that's one of the things that they've complained about, is that we are too political and they just want some nice advice on how to have non-monogamous relationships. Thank you. And our argument is that you actually can't really separate those. So informative but leftist was the title of one of our 3-star reviews, and I'm happy with that as a tagline. And finally, number 7, the resources section has been vastly expanded and is one of the things that people have been commenting on a lot. So I have done a lot of reading these last 12 years since the first edition. I mentioned that Andrea is exceptionally well read, particularly in a lot of the areas covered by this book, and you will see a lot of that in our resources, our heavily annotated resources section, which on its own I feel like could form the basis of a college major. So those are 7 ways that this book is different. Please share this video and help us get the word out. This is the book you want. More Than Two, Eve's version.